muted. There we go. Mike is good.
Embarrassing.
There's Albert. There's Wiki. There's Jennifer
Come on.
Delaney. Cool. There's Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy. All right. Cool. Hope everyone's doing well tonight.
Luke.
Hope everyone's having fun this Friday night.
We.
They're hanging out. It's the weekend.
Getting loose, trying to unwind. Meanwhile, that's not going to happen for us anytime soon.
John Biggins is here. Jean's here.
Actually, I'm unwinding right now. I got my Louis. I got a big mug full of vodka. I mean water. No, it's water. Ice water.
Yeah. So, yeah, doing good. And we're excited about Fan Expo tomorrow.
Yep, very much so. Going to be a lot of fun. Always good to be there, you know, especially once you get there. Then it's just like, you know, all the energy that everybody has. You see all the creativity in the costumes and the cosplaying and
people just out having fun. And there's such a good vibe about the big those like Comic-Con shows.
It's one of those places that where everyone is in their element.
They really are. Like, everyone can just nerd it up and have a fun time. And
unlike like if you go downtown or like go out in the world where everyone's going to have their own thing going on and in their different mindset, at places like that, everyone's obviously
like-minded,
in the same,
and they
the
like
same
a lot
mindset.
of the same stuff. Yeah.
Like Tony Beller mentioned in the chat on the show. He said if everyone could treat everyone like they do at a convention, it would be a better world. And yeah,
it
would. Well, that's only because everyone's in the same mindset. Everyone's in the same element, on the same page. Now, they might have actual different views on everything outside of that, but when they're there, it's like that's what it's all about.
Right. So that's, you know, you can have that common ground.
Right.
Of, hey, we like these things and I like them too, and we're dressed up as these characters, and, you know, a regular cosplayer couldn't, I mean, you could, but you...
Which is weird.
Like, if you're dressed in costume at those shows, it's no big deal because everyone else is dressed up too.
Which is strange to me because the fact that these people have those same interests, but yet if they went to a bar or something and hung out, all of a sudden, even though they're all into the same thing, like their politics or their religion or whatever, would then differentiate them outside of that. You know,
Yeah.
it's an interesting sort of thing.
But I think it's okay to celebrate your differences and what
Sure.
you have in common.
Well, I love that everyone's different. I think it would be boring if everybody was the same.
Right.
But as far as the interests that unite them, you would think that would be, in my opinion, it would be a more open-minded sort of point of view. And then, but those same people, without getting too specific about anything, are very close-minded about things. But yet they're into that same thing. You know, that like let's say if it's Star Trek or comic books or something like that, where in those types of venues, in the actual canon that they're basing their unity on, talk about something totally different and have a different sort of base of values. But those values don't apply to their lives, in their real lives, just in their fantasy lives. But it's just weird. But
I don't know. I don't get into it. We just have fun at these shows dressing up.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to seeing everybody tomorrow at Fan Expo. Some people were saying that they were going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Some people we're going to see at Cinema Wasteland next week. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
But it's great to see you here on YouTube also. And this is our Harry Scary Hangover. I'm Janet Takei the Mummy.
And I'm Grimgore the Monkey.
And there's Louie Kitty.
The kitty.
Louie the Kitty.
Yeah, and on this show, it's sort of a wrap-up type show, or just like just a free-form, more organic, sort of a download or whatever you want to call it,
it's just a chill, a little after show,
a little bit different
show.
vibe.
Yeah, and Bobby Harvey Jr. had a good idea of doing an Easter themed show, but Easter, I think, is after Cinema Wasteland.
Yeah.
So when we come back from that, maybe we could talk about like Easter candy and stuff like that if we want to mention it.
We'll find a common ground in Easter, I'm sure. It's just like Christmas.
Springtime, it's the celebration of spring.
A lot of these holidays, even though a lot of these holidays were actually something else, but before they were turned into something else that now turns into a reason to eat candy or drink or whatever you want to do
Yeah.
on that day. But anyway, I digress.
Anyways. And then James says, I always miss seeing you guys at the downtown Canton Monster Bash convention. Yeah, we're not attending those these days. But, you know, if you're still going to those, have fun, dude.
Bash on.
Yeah. That is a wonderful movie theater down there in Canton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was nice. One time we did that. It was kind of, but the downside is that we were vending at we were vending and we couldn't really leave the table. So we couldn't watch all the movies.
Yeah, we didn't get to sit in and watch the movies. We had to sit at our booth.
Because even though a lot of people were watching the movies, there'd be one or two people throughout. There would be a handful of people that would that come up to the table and bought things.
Yeah.
So you can't leave it to watch the movie then come back. I mean, you could, but then you might miss out on the sale, and that's kind of why you're there, right? I mean, we're there to try to pay for the reason.
Well, and to represent the show and everything.
Sure.
So
to be there to answer questions or
But I think the Canton
About the
Theater,
show.
we would love to go back to see things there.
Yeah.
Maybe incognito.
Yeah, that would be
just to enjoy the atmosphere rather than work.
Yeah, working is it's work, but hey, we enjoy it.
It's fun work, but
So, what's on the topic for tonight? Is there a topic?
So the topic is we could talk about some movies and shows that we've seen recently. We could ask you guys movies and shows that you've seen recently, or movies and shows that you recommend, and we'll just chat about that for a little while, and then we'll probably wrap this up around
in about 5 minutes,
11:30-ish, because we have to get up kind of early and do this again tomorrow morning.
Yes, we do.
So we've been watching Star Trek Discovery.
Finally.
And we played a sci-fi movie tonight on our YouTube channel. We hosted it's kind of a sci-fi and horror film because she was a blood-sucking vampire, but she was from another planet.
Well, when you think about it,
Queen of Blood from 1966, which seems fitting for Comic-Con, Fan Expo weekend.
Yeah. Well, a lot of sci-fi has a lot of horror in it. I mean, depending on how you want to dice it up. I mean, basically, in the movie we just showed, Queen of Blood. The doctor was explaining it perfectly, in that to the people like us who don't drink blood, but we do eat meat. You know what I mean? And some people do eat rare steaks and stuff like that, rare meat, which has some blood in it.
It does.
We don't outright drink blood, but we do consume flesh.
Yes.
And to some people, terrestrially, that's disgusting. To a vegan, eating flesh is disgusting. So who's to say drinking blood is such a bad thing? It really is a difference of...
She was hungry.
Well, that's what and if that's what they ate, if that was their sustenance, then that's what it was.
That's what she eats.
Yeah, so it's okay to drain the blood out of something and just eat the meat? Or what if they just drink the blood and leave the meat? I mean, it's really a semantics thing, right? In a matter of the actual diet that a being has. So it could seem horrific, but in the reality... It does seem horrific even in our reality that we're vegans or vegetarians think it's disgusting to eat meat.
Yeah.
So it's not that far. Is that horror?
So maybe the monster of that movie was just misunderstood. Maybe she
100%.
Maybe she was really a nice lady and we just didn't get a chance.
100% misunderstood. Yeah. Yes. And if their intent was to find cattle to then hey. All this, they have to live too. It doesn't make them bad. It's just how they, is a mosquito evil? No.
Yeah.
It's a mosquito. And it just happens to drink blood.
How did she lay the egg, says Greg? Well,
you don't want to know that.
How do chickens lay eggs?
Out of her cloaca.
Maybe she's got a cloaca.
Cloaca.
Yes. You learned a scientific term.
Yeah, one hole for everything.
Yeah, maybe it's like how a chicken is set up.
It sounds like a name of an adult movie series. One Hole for Everything, Volume 63.
Oh my gosh. Anyways.
Yeah.
So we were watching Star Trek Discovery, and we're still watching it because we're almost done with season 1.
Yes. It's very good.
It's really good. It started out a little like meh, but it's like really picking up. It's really good.
So I was thinking about that. Now the question is, and something dawned on me thinking of this because the thing to say now, and even I sort of I understand some of it, but some of the terminology might not be. It might be a little, but a lot of people would probably watch. Some people would watch this and go, "Hey, this is very woke." That's the term they're using now. But
and I hate labels on things.
That's okay, but
because you have to think Star Trek.
Yes.
Has been
the original series.
The
was
original
woke.
series in the 1960s. by that logic,
Yes.
would be considered that.
Very woke, yeah.
Because they had a multiracial cast, and they kind of set the way to break those barriers.
Yes, and this is during the time when civil rights was still an issue.
Yeah, and it was during
the 60s.
Yeah, it was during the civil rights movement.
And
like the lady who played Uhura, she passed away recently.
Yes, Nichelle Nichols.
Yes, she was an amazing and beautiful actress.
Well, yeah,
and her role being on Star Trek was extremely important.
Being on the deck of a futuristic starship and being treated as an equal.
Yes.
When in America at that time that wasn't happening. Like legally, now people still treat people bad, of course, but back then it was legal to treat people bad. It was fine. You could separate people. Segregation was a thing. This color of people on this that water fountain, this color, that was a thing up until the 60s.
And it was awful.
Yeah, and Gene Roddenberry was, obviously a little bit. He was woke. Which to me,
if you want to slap that label,
but the label is weird.
But I don't
because,
like those labels. Can't we just be nice human beings?
But what's weird about what's odd about that label is that it implies being asleep is good. If you're awake on matters and see things as being sort of that might need some. If that's what that means, I think that's what woke means. That's what it sounds like to me. That you're awake on things. Anyway, whatever.
Anyways,
the original series
was ahead of its time,
yes.
And it was more on, I mean, they're out in outer space, so they're part of the human race. So what did it matter if?
And that's what they have all in common. Well, but they even have other members of different species in Starfleet. Obviously, they did that later on.
Now like alien species that
they
are
didn't
part
have
of
that.
it.
They didn't have that in the original series.
That progressed over time.
Yeah, which is funny because Discovery takes place before the original series.
Original. You said it was like by so many years before.
It's like maybe 20 years because we
got to see because Spock's dad is in it.
Well, sure, but Sarek, but they live a long time, Vulcans. But they did mention Captain Pike, who is not, he was about Kirk's age. So this is probably 20 years before. Now, someone told me too that because if you watch the Discovery, it looks like their technology is way different than original series limited to, but. It looked futuristic in the 60s, but, and who knows what they'll be able to do in 20 years from now where the stuff now looks old, like Star Trek looks old to us, the original series. I don't know. But I think there's going to be, because of what they're dealing with, we won't give anything away if you've not seen it. I think they're into the 4th season now. But there's a technology they're experimenting with, we'll say, the Federation is, that I think it's going to get to the point, our theory is that they may have to reset things back to basics.
Well,
by the end of it all.
The Discovery ship started out as an experimental, like a science ship. Like it's pretty much a laboratory in space. They're experimenting with new technology.
But they stumbled upon a technology which is very that could. They're in the middle of the Klingon war with the Klingons as well. Yeah. It started with the Klingons. A war started with them between them, and the Klingons obviously have cloaking. Or we know they have the cloaking technology like the Romulans.
Well,
so. Anyway.
Real quick, there's a ton of comments. Let's read some comments, and then let's go back to the Klingons, because they're like really creepy in this series. They're really creepy. They
evolve. They apparently do some evolutionary thing, but
okay.
What are the comments?
Have you watched Picard? Says Dan.
Yes, we got the first 2 seasons.
The first 3, I thought.
No, 3's coming up. 3's the last one. Yeah.
Oh, 3's the last one. Okay. Strange New Worlds is better, says Ron. Yeah, we need to see that one.
I've heard it's awesome.
Yeah, we heard it's awesome. I've been wanting to watch that. Jimmy says, I've been watching Fargo. So strange, but so good.
Fargo, like based on the movie Fargo with the William H. Macy? Probably.
Yeah, and then Greg says Picard season 3 is getting really good. Oh, cool. So he's watching it,
We saw the first episode of series 3. Yeah, because that's with Gates McFadden, Dr. Crusher.
Yeah.
She's a badass.
Yeah, she's cool. Yeah, we saw the first episode. We need to see the rest of it. Let's see. Will says, I feel like it may have been mentioned before I came in, but Nichelle Nichols used to tell a story about having a conversation about the show with Dr. King at some point.
Oh, yes, I've heard about that.
He encouraged her to stay with the show and continue her acting.
Yes,
because it was an inspiration for for others out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, she was cool. Let's see. Trouble with Tribbles, says Bobby. Yeah, everyone makes jokes about the Tribbles. And Lois says it's amazing that Martin Luther King was a Star Trek fan. That is cool that he was watching that.
I had a dream that I was in the USS Enterprise.
Aw.
You never know.
Yeah.
But his dream was that people would relate that way.
Yes, work together and live together peacefully.
Yeah, where color was, well, I mean, obviously you want to acknowledge somebody's, there's nothing wrong with representing whatever nationality you were born into, and I want to get into that to where to be proud of something you had nothing to do with, but
it's good, if people take pride in
That's
who they
fine.
are and who their families are, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's all different backgrounds.
But ultimately, we're all, and I know it sounds corny and sappy, but we're all human. So
we're all human.
Even Reagan made that weird speech
Grimm
about.
Is half human, half ape, or
It's very hairy. That's all.
Well, you're an ape monkey man.
So I'm not Jason Momoa. Sorry,
And I was a human once.
I'm a hairy guy.
Now I'm a mummy.
But you know what we're talking about.
You get the idea, guys.
Yeah.
You get
but
the
even
idea.
even Ronald Reagan in that one speech he gave about what if we, would we all unite if a space, if something from space came.
Probably, right?
And all of a sudden you'd see people band together against a common enemy or whatever. But yeah,
probably.
What would it? But it has to take that, and that may never happen. So let's not wait till the aliens come get us.
The truth is out there. So
yeah, somewhere. It's on a poster in Mulder's office.
Yeah. I love that show.
That's another good show.
That's one of my favorites.
That show ended.
X-Files.
Yeah, and the whole thing with that was it was like, yes, aliens exist, and the government just wants everyone to sound kooky when they talk about them. That was their whole thing.
Yeah. Okay, so going back to the Klingons in Star Trek
You know
Discovery.
how to get rid of them? You just use a little, either a bidet, gets rid of those Klingons, or some wipes. Those wipes, the flushable wipes.
We're not talking about...
If you have Klingons, it's those little pieces of tissue.
We're not talking about dingleberries.
That's not the
We're
toilet
talking
paper.
about
Balls.
Klingons in Star Trek Discovery.
You're talking about personal hygiene. Okay. Those Klingons. Okay.
Yes. So Star Trek Discovery, the Klingons look a lot different. They look very creepy. They look like they've been bodybuilding for years and on a bunch of roids or something.
Like every part of them has been bodybuilding.
Yeah, and then they have this crazy armor.
What else did we learn about Klingons?
They have the different houses. Oh, they have
They have backup genitalia.
They have multiple body parts. They have multiple organs.
Yes, their reproductive organs.
You can
They have redundancies.
They have multiple organs.
I wonder if they have I guess could you have some sort of envy with yourself, like that one's bigger than that one.
Oh God.
How did that? But I guess you couldn't because they're both be yours. So.
But yeah, they're scarier in this than in previous Star Treks that we've seen.
Yeah, and I know there's an answer out there, and I think I've heard something about how they sort of evolve, because in this one they have big almost like alien Giger heads. Their heads are elongated.
Yeah.
And they have double nostrils, and they're very strange looking. And they have the tire tread head sort of.
Well, and then they I guess they mummify or put their bodies in sarcophagi.
Well, yeah,
and they've
do.
got that ship with the
they did
bodies.
Have the ship of the dead.
But
yes.
some of their coffins and stuff looked similar to the ancient Egyptian
but
stuff.
that's a style of
they borrowed
that's
some
an aesthetic
styles.
style. But their actual the physiology. Now, in the original series, which happens after this one, the Klingons are just they're brown, and they have sort of just a little bit of thing going above their nose, right? And then in the next in Next Generation, they have the big Worf tire tread heads.
Yeah, it's a different.
So
look.
they evolve.
But then they also talk about the different houses, how the Klingon houses were teaming up to do this war and to fight the humans and
they don't like humans
Starfleet
for whatever
and everything.
reason. They don't trust them at all.
Yeah.
They're almost like
So then it makes me wonder: do they evolve, or do they change based on what house they're from, or what?
No idea. I thought there'd be different.
It's really
types.
different.
Someone out there knows.
It's really, really interesting.
Well, you looked up about their private. Look up about how they, how they changed. Why they're so different. Well,
they mentioned something about how they have 2 hearts and 2 stomachs.
That's their physiology. Yeah.
So did they have like 2 of every body part?
No, you went and looked to see because they made reference.
And I'm like, I can't believe I'm Googling this.
They made reference.
You know you're a real nerd when you're Googling Klingon body
all you needed was a pair of glasses to push up in between the as you read it. No, but the reason why we were wondering about this because in this series in Discovery they're talking about how a human may have actually had relations with a Klingon.
Yeah.
And someone made a comment, how could you do that? You don't even have enough parts for a Klingon.
Oh, yeah, they did reference that. And then they were cutting, because the one guy was, like, tortured by the Klingons.
You don't have to give everything away.
Yeah, we don't want to give everything away, but, yeah, there's, like, some crazy stuff in this
But during
series.
this guy's captivity, they figured out that he may have had relations with one, and then someone made a comment about how he wouldn't have enough parts to do that. So that one thing led to another, and of course, there's all of that stuff.
So then we had so many questions.
Because when they started talking Klingon, you were like, "Oh, I wonder if they." I said, "Yes, that's been a language." You know, I don't know who created it within the Star Trek universe,
but I guess it's a real language.
You can go. There are Klingon language camps you can go to and learn. You know, take a course and learn how to speak basic Klingon.
Wow.
They raise the Klingon flag and everything, you know.
Oh my goodness.
They probably have like Klingon, related foods and stuff like, like dishes, gonk or whatever that stuff is.
It gets like really in depth there, yeah.
It is a deep well. The Star Trek universe is a real thing. It gets realer and realer. Like there's books and stuff on how some of the technology works, theoretically.
Wiki Bobby says in Star Trek Deep Nine, they traveled back in time to stop a bomb, and someone asked Worf what happened to the Klingon when they saw a different Klingon.
Oh.
Huh. Okay, so there must be like different types of Klingon.
There may be, just like there are different human cultures. There might be different Klingon cultures. They look a little different.
And John says Star Trek Strange New Worlds is supposed to remake the Klingons again.
A whole new world.
Any news on Gorns? I'm not sure.
Gorns are the...
are they bringing the Gorns back?
The Gorns are the lizard people, that one lizard that the person that Spock, or that Kirk fought.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure our Star Trekker fellow members of the Cleveland Star Trek group might watch this, and then they can chime in and comment, or if they catch it later, I'm sure they can, add all the info we're missing.
I love hearing about this because, like I said, I know this thing has taken on its own sort of life, and it's one of those stories, one of those things that somebody came up with, and I'm not even sure. I mean, it turned into like a Tolkien thing. It did start out as a Tolkien thing. It was probably a basic thing. Gene Roddenberry did a lot of like, what do they call it? Allegorical stuff, and stuff based on things that were going on at the time, especially civil rights. And he did some hippie stuff. I mean, there's one episode with all these like space hippies in it. And he didn't even try to make them not look like hippies.
Art
the
imitates life and vice versa.
But the idea was, and one of my favorite episodes is with what's his name? Frank Gorshin. And he plays an alien who is half like black and half white, like the color black and the absence of light black and the presence of white, like black and white, like not
like stark,
not like Caucasian and African American. I'm talking about like
a sheet of paper and
white sheet of paper, black sheet of paper,
like that.
So
color,
and they're at war with they have a planetary, like a civil war going on. And at the end of the thing, Kirk says, well, why are you guys fighting anyway? He goes, can't you see, Captain? They're black on the white side and white on the right side. We're white on the right side. And
oh, it was so ridiculous.
Like that was their difference. And that was to illustrate this.
That was to show the stupidity of it.
Yeah, another race, someone else, and most people see it that way. You don't have to be an alien to go, what are you guys fighting over? Yeah. So it's basically most people in this world see the stupidity of people not liking each other just because of the color of their skin, and that's exactly what that was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Because to everyone on this on the Enterprise, they look the same. See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
They didn't even notice that they were flopped as far as the literal black side, white side, but. There you go.
Albert, thank you for the super chat. He's watching us at the Winking Lizard.
Hey-o!
He can't hear because he's at the Winking Lizard.
You're not missing anything.
Yeah, you're not missing a bit. So, thank you, Albert.
Yeah. Yeah, but you could. And another fun thing about these shows, you could just take it for what it is, or you can read into the deeper things that are the issues and messages that are there. But it's entertaining. It's not too preachy. That is really the goal.
Yes, and that is great to have to have kind of a message or some type of lesson or.
See, I don't like messages, but I like when something's done to where you don't realize it. You can enjoy it either way.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
necessarily.
Not too preachy.
Yeah, not preachy, but at the same time, it you can get the point.
Yes. Yeah. There's a way to do that.
I was just trying to think how to word that.
Yeah. There's an art to that, and some film or stories or whatever the medium is. So if it's spelled out and it's just so obvious, that gets to be a little it's
like too much like harping on. Yeah.
It's like but when it's done, like there's songs that you don't even know why that are about certain things that you don't realize, and you enjoy it for what it is, and then you read the lyrics or you find out what the lyrics really mean. You're like, oh wow, now that you turn it that way, interesting, but I still like it without that.
Yeah. So. Okay, so yeah, I brought that up because with sci-fi and horror, sometimes those worlds collide. So, like Queen of Blood, sci-fi and horror elements. Right. With Star Trek Discovery, it does have some scary moments with the fighting with the Klingons, a little bit of gore there. And then with the new Picard, they've got some fight scenes that are a little more gory and stuff like that.
That's not horror, though.
No, but it has, a little bit of horror elements.
Like, what is horror?
With the monsters.
Horror is like what? Being afraid, right?
Being afraid, it's scary.
Right.
Like, the horror. It's scary.
Yeah. See, I see a difference between a horror movie and a gore fest.
So, like the movie Alien, it's a sci-fi and a horror film. It has scary moments.
That's right.
Queen of Blood has, she's a creepy vampire alien, but it's also a sci-fi. So that's what I was trying to.
Yes, but vampires themselves, I mean, they don't have to be from space. Let's say they're, supernatural beings. Can a supernatural being be misunderstood? In other words, is it that weird that they feed off of someone's blood or soul, and it's not? Isn't it weird to them that we feed off of meat and plants? Like, ugh, that's gross. You know what I mean? Again, it all depends what side you're on there, right? Where you're coming from.
Well, let's read some comments. A lot of people are recommending some movies and shows.
All right.
Lois said she's really enjoyed the Wednesday series on Netflix.
I hear a lot of good things about
I've heard a lot of good things about Wednesday. We still haven't gotten to watch it yet. Pastor of Puppets says a Gorn appears on Enterprise.
Oh.
Nice. Let's see. I'm trying to find the other movie ones I saw. Oh, Thea, the original Frankenstein novel was both sci-fi and horror. That's right.
That's very true.
The scientific experiments and the horror element being, he's a monster.
Yeah,
he created a monster.
It's obviously not a new art.
Yeah.
And H.G. Wells wrote a lot of stuff that could be borderline.
Right.
It's sci-fi, borderline horror. I mean, War of the Worlds. Mm-hmm. That's a bit scary,
It is scary, and it's a sci-fi.
Yeah.
So it has both elements. So those worlds are kind of meshed together.
They do. There's a fine line, and some do a better job at walking the line between both things. Yeah, I think Frankenstein's like the best example of that, right?
Yes, totally.
I mean, wouldn't Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of be that way? Because he was he was a chemist or something, right? Yeah,
he was a scientist. He was experimenting with different.
The Invisible Man.
Yeah, the Invisible. Yeah, there's a lot of them that can. Yep.
Now that you think about it, yeah.
Will says the horror of vampires and werewolves is that their existence means people aren't the apex predators we think we are anymore.
Right.
Meaning that there's something else that will eat you.
You're not the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You got to watch out.
Yeah, so that's always been the struggle out there in the for the survival of the fittest, Mm-hmm.
And then Juliet says season 2 of Wednesday is coming. Oh, good, they're working on a season 2.
Well, they call it Thursday. Just kidding.
Thursday is like the lost Addams Family kid.
How about the other days? Yeah,
she was sent away or something.
I watched a really cool thing I got into. It was Around the World in 80 Days. It was a British-made remake. Came out maybe 2 years ago at the most. It starred David Tennant from Doctor Who.
Nice.
Who played the second Doctor in the reimagining or whatever. It's not even a reimagining. When they picked the series up, he played the second guy to play. I mean, everyone knows who David Tennant is. but it's really, really good. It's they did one season and it's like got the beginning and end. It could go into a second one. They left it open there, but it's done really well. I was like every episode's a different adventure, but it all is about navigating the globe in 80 days by Phineas Fogg. So I recommend that. It's I got rent everything from the library now, but I don't know. You could probably even find it out streaming somewhere, but it's great.
Oh yeah, it will. I saw just a little bit because you were watching it while you're working, and I'll go and I'm in that room and I'm like, oh, that show looks good.
Yep.
But I haven't gotten to sit and watch it.
It was great. I totally recommend it. I'd watch it again. It was so good.
And then Lois says we loved that version of Around the World in 80 Days at our house.
It was brilliant. It was done. It was a lot of fun, and it was very family friendly, but had just enough edge of the moment. And the acting was good. The writing's good. You can everyone was understandable. They had a strong female role. They had an African. Oh well, they had a Frenchman, an African Frenchman, and then David Tennant. But everybody they dealt with the interracial thing and really cool stuff that that was
sounds fun.
It's people have problems with that now, but it was back then. Forget about it.
So would that kind of be considered? Do they have any steampunk stuff in that one?
No, it's not fantastical. It's
all not like fantasy.
No.
It's more true to the time.
Yes, it's all this stuff not that it happened.
I haven't seen it. I don't know.
No, everything is it's not. There's no steampunk really. It's all sort of based on actual technology. They had a steam engine. Train.
Oh, okay. Well, that was,
But there was nothing, no dials on watches or nothing like that.
Okay.
No steam whistles on a watch or nothing like that, or on a hat.
Let's see.
Steam-powered bicycle.
Thea says, I think another horror element, if vampires and werewolves is for vamps, the fear and disgust we have for death and decay. I think another horror for werewolves is that we're all animals. Yeah, the vampire thing is, if you think about it, because it's like, she's talking about the scary elements of those. So
I'll be right back.
Yeah, with vampires, it's they're drinking blood, and that's gotta smell terrible, taste terrible.
But it's almost like whenever you hear about a different culture eating a different type of animal, and we're like, but they think what we eat's. So it's like it's no different than that. Well, I mean, not at all.
Yeah, I mean,
who's to say what's good? It depends what you're raised in eating.
Well, I don't know. I've never met a vampire or a werewolf.
You don't have to. So. But the whole idea is, but how wrong are they? Because that's not. There's no fantasy in going to another country where their cuisine is totally different and stuff you would never eat. Unless you were raised to eat that, and they look at what we eat, some of our stuff, and go, "No way! Why would you eat that?"
Well, that's one way to look at it. That's one way to look at it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Will says there was a TV series that was steampunk about Jules Verne called The Secret Adventures of Jules Verne or something like that.
Yep.
But there are crazy rights issues, so it's never been on DVD. Yeah, some shows. I've never seen that one. I'll have to look it up to see if I could find it somewhere. There's a show that Grimm really likes called Moonlighting, and it's from the 80s. It's a lot of fun, but they used a lot of copyright songs. So they had a limited release of it on DVD, and the DVDs are hard to find because of the copyrights.
Talking about Moonlighting?
Moonlighting, yeah. Because Will mentioned another TV series.
Jules Verne thing?
Yeah, because it was never on DVD because of all the copyright songs.
Oh, I'd like to look that one up because Around the World in 80 Days was written by Jules Verne, right?
Yeah.
Who also did Captain Nemo and all that stuff, or 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And that's what they do with this show is that they take Phineas Fogg, who's in the world of Jules Verne, and so anything could happen. And no, I'm not spoiling anything, but they do sort of hint on a submarine that's been built they heard of at the end of the show. That nobody knows about. And he's like, how could that be? You can't build a submarine that nobody knows about. They were hinting on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Bruce Willis, John Biggins.
Yeah. What
My
about
wife
him?
loved Moonlighting. Bruce something.
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah, and Sybil Shepherd.
Yes.
I wanted to do a skit called Moon Knighting, where Bruce Willis would be like, hey, I'm going to be a superhero. David, you can't be a superhero. Come on, Manny, look at me. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to... They do that back and forth. I'm going to be a superhero. Hey, Moon Knighting.
That'd
great.
be funny.
David Edison as a superhero.
But yeah, they were like private investigators, and there was this weird bit. It was written really like this back and forth with them, and they would talk over each other. And
if you've never seen Moonlighting, do yourself a favor and rent if you can rent it.
The DVDs are hard to get.
The to buy the actual DVDs is very expensive.
Yeah,
like hundreds of dollars. If you can even find them, a library might have them. You can rent them, maybe.
Maybe if they could get a copy.
But I know that they want to. But it's not streaming because, like you were saying, there's issues with they use a lot of popular music. Like a lot of Motown
music,
and
Motown music,
all kinds of weird, cool stuff.
Yeah,
and it was like really and it really played with the actual show. I mean, it actually integrated, kind of like what what's his name does, James Gunn does with all like Guardians of the Galaxy, like how the music is a big part of the show. It's the same thing with Moonlighting. Mm-hmm. It's very a part of it. It can't just edit that out because it doesn't make any sense. Because sometimes they're singing the songs or the way they're dancing to them, they have something to do with the actual scene going on. It's integrated into the show.
So Raymond says the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea movie with Vincent Price as Captain Nemo was pretty steampunk.
That's that's very steampunk. Yeah.
Very steampunk.
Yeah, and that's where that all came from. I think a lot of that started with Jules Verne stuff.
John says $100 for a Moonlighting disc. I got one.
You're seeing that? Yeah, I mean for more than that actually.
Yeah,
for the
some
sets,
of them are like over $100.
The last season of that show on DVD is the most expensive. Like I think it's season 5. It's like you can even get it. It's like several $100s.
Yeah, it's like crazy hard to find.
But I bought them when they came out at Walmart or Best Buy years and years ago. I bought like a couple seasons of them. Only wish I would have bought the rest of them. But anyway, it's one of my favorite shows ever. The way it was written, and the same guy that wrote the show Medium with Patricia Arquette, which is great too. And I didn't know that. I should get more into all this stuff. Like if I enjoy a show. I need to get more into like who wrote it and know because when I found that out about Medium, I'm like, boy, that clicked with me. I'm like, no wonder why. And then I started seeing some Moonlighting sort of like because the same writer.
You saw some similarities
Big
because
time.
it's the same person who wrote
Once
it.
it clicked, I'm like, that makes sense now. Because there's weird music and stuff incorporated in Medium as well, where they use that as someone's memory that triggers her psychic stuff. It's cool. But anyway. Cool. Yeah, but Moonlighting, one of my favorite shows ever.
All right, guys. Well, we're probably going to wrap this up in a few minutes here. So we're going to be at Fan Expo tomorrow in Cleveland. Fan Expo, Cleveland. Yeah. It's okay.
I can't see it.
And then we're also going to be at Cinema Wasteland next weekend for all 3 days. So you guys can, if you're interested in learning more about that, you could go to cinemawasteland.com.
Come on, hang out, have some laughs.
For Fan Expo, just Google Fan Expo Cleveland, and it has all of the information there. And we're going to be hanging out with the Cleveland Star Trek Club, and we're going to also be visiting the Cleveland Ghostbusters Club. And both clubs do a lot of charity work. They raise funds to help local charities like food banks, animal shelters, the women's shelter, homeless shelters.
I'll just say this too. They both have wonderful sort of charities, but the Ghostbusters always have amazing raffles.
Those raffles are cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the Star Trek people will have this year around, but they have pretty cool stuff too. But but I even know that this year's is going to be really good too for the Ghostbusters. So do your good deed, go donate some money, and you might win something cool.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to, contribute some funds to them, too.
Yep, I'll have my kissing booth open. So anyone that wants a schmooch, come on down.
Oh, gosh.
Since everything's over, probably not a good idea.
Well, if you do that, don't kiss me for a while.
It was never good to just kiss me.
Oh, gosh.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, we will... Oh, James Muscarella, when am I going to see the Mummy and the Monkey Harry Scary Hangout music video? Good question. We're still working on it. Sometimes these things take time. Whoop. So be patient, guys.
I think I lost the button.
Of course, we want to work on more videos in the future.
Abso-fraggin-lutely, damn it.
All right, guys. So good night, good fright, and thanks for chatting nerdy stuff with us.
Yes.
And we will see you the week after next.
That's right. Bye. Bye. I'm still waving.
I'm getting ready to click the button.
My wrist's starting to hurt.